Okay, number 13. What would most likely have happened if no one worried about erosion in the early 1900s? So this is kind of a double skill thing. You're kind of inferring because it says what would most likely have happened. And it's also cause and effect. Okay. So what would have happened as a result if no one had worried about erosion in the early 1900s? So the first thing I thought is we need to look back and see where they're talking about the early 1900s and what happened. Here it is. Skim for that number during the early 1900s. I see that it's called slowing erosion, so I'm already thinking it has to do with erosion. All right, during the early 1900s, people started to worry about the rate of erosion. They came up with a plan to minimize the amount of water that went over the falls. Upstream, water was diverted from the Niagara River to a power plant. The water makes electricity and is released downstream below the falls. Less water goes over the falls, so there is less erosion. Looky there, a cause and effect word. Woo! We've studied those. So it says here less water goes over the falls because people diverted the water. So the result is there is less erosion because of what they did. So what would have happened if no one had worried about erosion? Well, the Niagara River would have stopped flowing. No, it would not have stopped flowing. More of the rock would have eroded away since then. Well, I think that's a good answer because it says there's less erosion because they did it. So probably if they hadn't, more would have eroded. C, there would be no electricity at Niagara Falls today. Now, there might be less electricity, but I think they probably already had electricity there. So this word makes it wrong. They would have electricity. Niagara Falls would not be as famous as it is now. Niagara Falls has been famous for a very long time. I think it would still be famous. So, because it's talking about the erosion and how what they did made it so there was less erosion, obviously, if they hadn't done it, there would be more erosion. So the correct answer is B. So you need to go to your answer sheet. That was number 13. STEM said, what would have most likely happened if no one had worried about erosion in the early 1900s? And they even had the word erosion in there. Tell me what you chose. Tell me why you chose it and what is wrong with it. The correct answer is B, because if they hadn't diverted the water, more rock would have eroded. It was in the context. You could even put the keywords that we highlighted, okay? During the early 1900s, less water goes over the falls, so there is less erosion. You could type that in. Strategy or tip is two things. I skimmed for the date since that was in the question, and reread, look for cause and effect words like so. You're just rereading and looking for your proof.